We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order.
This crusade, this war on terrorism, is going to take a while.
We came, we saw, we died.
We tortured some folks.
Yourselves to these unnatural men with machine minds and machine hearts. You are not machines, you are not cattle, you are men. You have the love of humanity in your hearts. You don't hate, only the unloved hate, the unloved and the unnatural. Soldiers, don't fight for slavery, fight for liberty.
And we have parked the pod. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. It's episode 23 of Dave versus Goliath, and it is a monumental episode. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we're bringing back a guest for the first time. That's the first time we have ever done that on the show. One of the greats. He's a great friend of mine. He is a champion in this movement. He's making some serious moves, and you probably know who he is if you're watching this show. Without any further ado, let's just bring him on in. Ladies and gentlemen, the great Michael Heise. Mike, what's up, brother? How you doing, man?
What's going on? Good to be with you.
It's good to be with you, dude. So you got anything big going on this week? What do you want to talk about? Anything?
Little thing.
Jumping out at you?
It's a little thing, little shindig, little get together.
We're having a little wing ding.
But yeah, man, we got the Libertarian Party National Convention going on. Starting on Friday, going through all this weekend, and then Thursday night we've got Dave Smith stand-up show and live podcast. But and then on Friday night after the business is closed, we got the Take Human Action Bash for the Mises caucus, and we got Ron Paul coming, we got Zuby coming, we got Daniel McAdams coming, Maj Toure, Dave Smith. We might even have a couple little surprises in there for people too. So.
Surprises on top of that, dude. Ain't no party like a Mises caucus party, because the Mises caucus party don't stop. Seriously, that's an incredible guest list, man. And this is like something you guys have done historically. I say you guys, I mean, I'm in it, but this is going to be my first convention. But you guys throw a bash, like at the convention, and you have, I guess, 2018 and 2020, right?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it started in 2018. That's when we did the first one, and it was a counter event in 2018 because in 2018, the convention committee wouldn't let us have an event in the hotel where the convention was. So we had to get a room down the street at a different venue and host it. And it was kind of like what Ron did in the 2012 convention for the GOP. They basically went to him and said, hey, if you want to speak at the convention, we're going to need to take a look at your speech and okay it. And he said, no, that's okay. And went to the Sun Dome down there and had his own event, his own convention, and I was there. That thing was packed out. The whole Sun Dome was completely packed out for Ron Paul. And so when they wouldn't let us in 2018, we just threw our own counter event. We brought Jeff Deist out. We had Backwards play live. We had Tom Woods. I think we had Bob Murphy that year, if I remember correctly. I can't remember, but it was it was like an all day type of thing. It was like a 5-6 hour type of thing, like people from different crypto projects, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys really do it up. It reminds me of that old Ron Paul quote. Like, if we're going to have a revolution, we're going to need music. We're going to need young people, right? We like to kind of keep it lively and party. And I know you're a karaoke beast. Anytime
we have karaoke on Sunday too. That's the other thing. We got two parties. We got a second party on Sunday with karaoke.
Listen, I can't tell you how excited I am. So yeah, let's just backtrack a minute. The Take Human Action Bash is going to be amazing. Dave Smith's doing comedy in Reno, but this is all about the Libertarian Party 2022 convention, #Reno Reset. This is the Ron Paul revolution coming into the Libertarian Party. for the first time. I mean, right? This is the first time the Liberty movement is going to be coming in and becoming.
I don't want to say the first time, but it's the first time in like the modern age. You know, like the age of the internet. There was a time back in the founding of the party where the movement and all the intellectuals associated with the movement were associated with the party, and it was really exciting when it first popped off. But somewhere along the way, it started to decline. I couldn't really comment too much about what happened from the 70s through the 80s, but in the modern times, it really seemed like, I would say 2006 is kind of where the marker is of like where things really started. Because you had Harry Brown ran for president in 1996. He ran again in 2000. And we were at peak membership at that point. A lot of people don't know this, but we're at like half the amount of membership that we had in the early 2000s when Harry Brown was running. And then in 2004, we had Michael Badnarik. He was a radical candidate, kind of quirky, but radical candidate nonetheless. But I think we might have hit like a little bit of a low point with him. And that gave an opportunity for moderates and regime libertarians to, do what was called the Portland Massacre, which in 2006, the platform was completely gutted. And that kind of was the market. The Prags of 2006 weren't quite the same as the Prags. They're not even Prags, they're just snakes of 2022.
This is the original takeover. See?
This is like the proto Prags, yeah. And that's where things started becoming more political, let's say, less about messaging, less about principle. And, it started to be about, well, we've got to run candidates and we're running to win. I mean, you know what could happen if we get in the debates, we could win. And
I hate being lied to. I hate.
Yeah, for real. And, that's what kind of ushered in, I think the first candidate after that was Wayne Allen Root, Bob Barr and Wayne Allen Root, which was probably the worst, 1-2 punch you ever had. Yeah. And then Johnson and Jim Gray in 2008, Johnson Weld in 2016, and then Joe Jorgensen in 2020. So yeah, I mean, and the funny thing about it is, for all of the flaws of the Jorgensen campaign and the not knowing what world she's living in aspect of that campaign, I actually see Jorgensen as a positive step forward for the party in comparison to what was coming before her.
Yeah,
because
me too.
And it's hard to see, you kind of got to be an LP insider to have this perspective, I think, but like, she was a plumb line libertarian in terms of all of her positions. It's just her messaging and her understanding of the culture, her understanding of the moment, what's important. Like she's woke. All of that stuff kind of combined to really have a failure of a campaign. But because she was actually a plumb line libertarian, she represented to me that we've retaken the culture. Not the culture, sorry, the principle. We've recaptured the principle inside the party. And all the other problems were kind of indicative of the culture of the party. And that's what this convention is all about.
Yeah, we're going to see some change going to come. Man, and I got to thank Patrick Bet David for shining some light on her as a speaker and as a communicator. I think if she did have political aspirations, they may have come to a screeching halt post that podcast. What do you think about that?
I mean, I've heard rumors that she wants to do it again. I just don't think. I think there's a segment of people in the party who they don't believe it, how much the party has changed, and I think that's been a theme. I don't think they believed it in 2020, because 2016 is not that long ago, and the trajectory that things were on at that time was like, Bill Weld probably would have been the nominee, and he's bringing all this fundraising money. And isn't that great? We got 4.3 million votes. Oh, man, maybe he could get us in the debates. He's got connections to Washington. He can get us respectability. And that was how it was for the past 16 years, and I think the people who were kind of the old guard of that the Prague Revolution, I think they're still dumbfounded and catching up as to how much the party has actually changed in the past 3 years, especially.
Yeah, let's talk about that, man, because as cool as that all the history of this is, I gotta be honest with you, when I try and big picture this, and we've talked about this a lot, the coolest part about this 4 or 5 year journey is not like little inroads. I don't think, it's really, dude, nothing short of a miracle what's happened over the past 5 years. So the Mises Caucus, and stop me if I get any of this wrong, but right after Charlottesville, you got super motivated to start.
Before.
I'm just kidding with you. No, you got super motivated because the chairman of the Libertarian Party was bashing, some pillars of the movement, Ron Paul included, Tom Woods, Dave Smith, equating them to all the things that we've heard for the...
The funny thing is that was not one of the motivations. I was already formulating this before that. I just happened to, that day, be like, all right, I'm going to make the Facebook group. And then literally hours after I made the Facebook group, the disgraced former chair said that the Mises Institute was the preferred think tank of Nazis, which then organically led to a bunch of pissed off Austrians in my Facebook group when I woke up the next day. And I'm like, oh,
yeah,
yeah,
he's literally been fueling the caucus since the very beginning of it. So yeah, I'm gonna jump around, man, because 5 years is a long time, and we want to talk mostly about what's going on right now, not dwell on the past. But I have been amazed that it went from Facebook group kind of trying to organize within the Libertarian Party with about Ron Paul, just like this is easy stuff. So it's easy for me to hop in that group and whatever, share memes and things. Within, maybe two years after you started it, all the people that we were kind of talking about in the group, Dave Smith, Scott Horton, Tom Woods, all these guys started to participate. So that was really cool. Then I started, the podcasts that I'm listening to in my car on the way to work or whatever, then they start mentioning your name. And then they have you on the show. And then they're talking about the caucus. And it became this really cool, vortex of just my, the content that I consume and the people that I'm hanging out with. It just kind of collided. And that has not stopped since then. It's one of the coolest parts about it. So yeah, it kind of feels a little bit like a choose your own adventure, man. So I got to thank you for that. That take human action tagline, when you start participating in life and be less of a spectator, more of a doer. Crazy stuff happens, man. So fast forward to now, we've had a couple, if you want to call them losses, 2018 and 2020. I wouldn't call them that, but electoral, maybe, whatever. But we're looking at some wins probably coming up. I'm not going to count my victories before, but you feel pretty good going into Reno?
Oh, I feel real good. And I mean, they were losses, but you have to lose in order to learn how to win,
Yes,
it's crazy. So much has happened. It's been such a blur. I can't even remember what our organizational efforts in 2018 looked like. I don't even remember how we did that. I don't know how we got 22% in 18 in 7 months. I don't know how we did that.
Right.
Because we didn't have all the tools that we have now. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it pretty much was word of mouth. I hadn't really done the state organizing team thing at that point. And we just didn't have the tools. We didn't have any money. We didn't have the automation system that's feeding leads to organizers. We didn't have any of this stuff. It was just, me and Josh going out there and constantly beating down the doors on what was going on with the leadership of the caucus, or I'm sorry, the leadership of the party, and pointing out how this is not representative of actual libertarians. It's not representative of the Ron Paul revolution. These people hate the Ron Paul revolution. What the hell is going on here? Because, that's certainly what I thought. I was like, okay, Rand Paul failed. I guess I'll finally check out the LP and maybe it'll be kind of like this. And no, not at all. I came for the revolution and found a free market progressive water hole. And I was just dumbfounded. And I think that's the experience of a lot of people that have probably over time come in and exited the party too, that it's not at all what they were thinking or what it represents, how they come at libertarianism and just the freedom philosophy in general. Yeah, I do not remember how the hell we did in 18, but we went from nothing to 22% in 18. And then from 18 to 20, there was a lot of growth there. We started to form, the state organizing teams. We didn't have nearly as many now. I think we had less than half that we had now going into 20.
Are you the first libertarian community organizer?
Nah, there's got to be more.
The progressives really got that racket just locked. Community organizing.
It works though.
I know.
It works.
Know.
I know back in the day, Michael Bolden at the 10th Amendment Center, I know he tried to create tenther cells, is what they were called, and basically have little units of people who are trying to do nullification-based activity all over the country. But he found it to be too unwieldy. It's a lot of work to do something like that, and so he left that go. But that's kind of one of the things I like to think that we're doing, is that we are the 10th cells. We are the ones who are pushing nullification. We have ordinances and legislation for our teams and our volunteers and all everybody across the country to use to take human action with. And nullification is like the cornerstone of our overall strategy. So, I'm glad to try to deliver that. But in 2020, there was a lot of chaos ahead of that convention too. That's when the COVID started. We were down there in Florida at like
there was still a Pride caucus then.
Yeah, there was still a Pride caucus. The COVID was at its like absolute peak. When we were down there, and I think that really helped separate the wheat from the chaff. Like who was scared and who didn't care about the cold and all of that kind of stuff. And they screwed with Josh's daughter. They tried to cancel. It's so funny how like what happened at that convention is like a relic of history, because we've grown so much in the time since then. I still rate what they did to that convention last year as one of the top 5 like craziest things that's happened. Yeah. They tried to rig the online portion of the convention to put the chairs race in against this huge agreement that everybody had to not have anything but president and vice president in that online portion. The disgraced former chair refused to sign the contract with the venue and basically kept everybody uncertain as to whether or not there even would be a convention until like 6 days before the convention. Unilaterally declared that online delegates are delegates when they're not. Spread rumors that we were trying to keep all the online people out. Like, it was absolute madness at that last convention. But we walked away, with 40% of the vote, which was a pretty big increase over the 22% in 2018. But I think the thing that happened in at the 2020 convention, and I think about this often, an observation that I made there is it really dawned on me at that convention that this is now something beyond, I would say, even ideas and politics and philosophy. It is all of those things, but it is now a community with a culture. And I think that is actually the thing that is animating people to take up the ideas and stuff like that. And the thing that I saw that really made this dawn on me is, to be frank with you, I was not feeling too good when I was getting on the plane to go down to that convention. I kind of suspected that we were not going to win chair at that point. And, I thought we were going to get screwed, 8 times from next Tuesday, and cheated. And I didn't know what good was going to come out of it, just given the level of vitriol. And so I was really nervous about how am I going to hold everything together? How am I going to keep people excited and motivated and yada, yada. And then, we get to Saturday night. The only piece of business that was done by then was the chairs race. Josh did not win, which did not bode well for Sunday, when all the other business that we had time for, it didn't bode well that we would win anything. So I was really, really worried. And we had an Airbnb, and, at one of the Airbnbs, somebody threw a rager. And so, we corralled as many people to go to that as possible. And I showed up thinking, all right, man, I'm expecting people to be like, man, fuck this. I knew I shouldn't have gotten politics. I knew the Libertarian Party was a joke and, all this kind of stuff. And there was absolutely none of that. All of the stuff that I was worried about just did not exist, because everybody was just so happy and excited to be there, to be with each other, to have fun with these people that they've been working with through all this nonsense for all this time now. And literally none of the stuff I was worried about actually existed. And that's when it dawned on me of like, oh, this is like a community now. And it's been pretty wild to watch that community grow and grow, and the culture get stronger and the bonds get tighter over the past of those 2 years. And it's just the amount of talent that's come in that time is wild too.
Yeah, that's dude. I can only speak to that to a certain degree, but certainly on the local level with these Delaware peeps, I can absolutely speak to that, man. It's certainly the thing that keeps me wanting to go back and show up at the meetings and, do well by them and, Like, it is a community thing. It is the freedom cell. It is all that, plus Robert's Rules of Order and all that other stuff. But I love my Delaware peeps, man. That's what it's about. Yeah, we're rolling up together, man. This is a big deal for us. So, yeah, thanks for putting that together for everybody. Community, man. That is what it's all about.
And that's go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that's the thing that I really want to focus on moving forward, because after we get through this convention, and obviously we still got stuff to talk about with the convention, but assuming we do well, which I'm very confident that we will, we're going to have to shift focus a little bit. The takeover can't be the call to action anymore because it's taken over.
Let's talk about that next, man. I know, you have been in this. This has been the last 5 years of your life fully immersed. I have spent, as someone who is not at the helm, I've spent a lot of time on Mises Caucus stuff, Libertarian Party stuff. So of my people, this is thousands of people, right, are putting in this effort to make this happen. Yeah, so I felt like that too. Like, all right, like I feel like I've been in battle mode for some time, and it's very warranted, by the way. These people that have it coming, they deserve that. If you're cool, you're cool. We can work together. It's all good. But like, some of this was necessary. But yeah, the hashtag the takeover, I always loved it. But some people, hey, by the way, is that why we changed it to the Reno reset? It was just hippie.
I still say we take it over.
I know. I love it.
I
wanted to call it the insurrection.
It's been the takeover the whole time. It's just Reno is coming up where this is where it's looking like we're going to do good. And
I love it.
Alliteration is good marketing. So,
yeah.
But no, it is a takeover. It's a take back. Like I said, there was a time where the intellectuals of the movement were involved in the party, and they were drawing attention to it, and all that stuff. And it's a take back to that. Only, again, the party has never had good messaging in the internet age. It's never had rousing leaders, grassroots leaders in the internet age where they can maximize their reach, and their recruitment and build on that community. And I think this community thing that we keep harping on and talking on, I think that's kind of the unrealized discovery in this whole project, is that people think, oh, well, the Libertarian Party, it's a joke and you're never going to get mainstream and you're never going to do this or that. I think they're missing the point in what this represents. I think if you would have asked anybody, what do you think about the Libertarian Party as a framework from which you build a community of libertarians, and they have a home to grow that community, to do any number of things that could be political or not political. Nobody I think would have guessed, that's it. That's going to be the thing. But no, that is
somebody.
It.
I'm going to stop you there. Listen. We are, because this is a perfect parlay, bro. I got to. Somebody did think of that. Somebody did think of something. Nobody really. Yeah, when you look at the Libertarian Party, maybe 5 years ago, and the car salesman slaps the hood, it doesn't look that great. And I totally get that, man. But somebody did have the vision. Somebody did have the vision. Let me turn this down just a tad. Mike, I'm going to take you back to 2012 here, bro. So I know the LP Mises Caucus has been a 5-year journey for you. But your Liberty journey goes back at least 10 to 12 years. 14? I don't know. 2008? What are we looking at for you?
Yeah, like 14, 15.
Okay. Well, in 2012, when everybody was picking up the pieces after the Ron Paul revolution, or the Ron Paul, let's call it the political campaign, dissipated, you decided to come up with the End the Fed rallies after visiting Bilderberg. And we're going to watch a little bit of that together, man, because I just want people to know, if they don't know, how legit you are and how long you have been legit. Because this is the kind of guy that you want leading the ship, not just, some asshole, right? So, yeah, my faith's in people, right? You could have called this caucus whatever you want, but I believe you, dude. So, yeah, we're going to take a look at this together.
Together, nationwide. This is how cool it is to be a part of this, because the amount of people and the amount of resources that we have around us, I don't even realize. And I can guarantee you don't even realize, too. And the power of one person's idea goes so far. Right now, this is happening in multiple cities, because Mike went down to Bilderberg earlier this year, met a whole bunch of people and said, let's have a nationwide End the Fed rally completely on his own. And
It was a really good idea.
And look at it. This is perfect. So I can't thank you enough, man. You've done so much in the past year. I'm really glad that you're here. And thanks for putting all this together. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Michael Heise.
How's everybody doing today? Well, let's get a chant. And the Fed! And the Fed! And the Fed! And the Fed!
Yeah, Mike. Tell him.
That's right. That's right. That's what this is all about. So I just want to thank all of you for coming out. It's a very important message. It's important to our future, to the kids, to everything.
Michael Heise is for the kids.
To our prosperity, our freedom. It's a vital time in this country. Now that the era of Ron Paul's political career is over, there's a lot of people out there saying, what's next? Who are we going to look to next? The answer is nobody. Nobody.
I'll do it myself.
Look to yourself. Be your own leader. Freedom is something unique in that it unites all of us in our differences. It means something different to every single individual. Some people use it to pursue personal interests, and others try to see the world, others try to help other people. But whether people see it or not, we are connected in that freedom. Freedom is one of the driving forces in the human existence. Freedom, like hope, can never really die. Even when chained down by tyranny, it still exists in our hearts and our minds and grows to a raging inferno that inevitably grows to overcome.
I fucking love it, dude. I love it. You're already talking to the remnant. You're already
This shit's
doing
making
it.
me bashful.
I fucking love it.
Freedom cannot die with a man or with a nation, and because of that, it is our duty, our responsibility to defend the sanctity of living life how each and every one of us see fit according to our own morals. In our society, the notion of losing freedom has manifested itself as over there or them, that freedom can only be lost through external means and never here at home. Freedom's greatest weapon is simply one word: no. No, I will not allow you to violate my freedom. And
Michael Heise defies you. I fucking love it.
no, I will not allow you to violate the freedoms of others. So the more we forego freedom, the more we dismiss it offhand, the more we surrender it, no matter how subtly, and trade it for comfort, for perceived security, or lost responsibilities, that is the farther we are pushing ourselves away from our Creator or our nature. There's problems, though. Those who want to keep us in servitude to these banks, to debt, they don't want us to realize our power. They don't want us to realize that we are free, because if we did, we would completely undermine their alleged authority and they would become irrelevant. They need our minds more than anything else.
Man, if that still isn't just ringing true as shit today, isn't it, dude? Man.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't believe it.
Because freedom, and thus our bondage, is just as much internal as it is external. These leaders that we have in government have led us into a new high-tech dark age of total warfare, widespread poverty, exorbitant debt, a system that makes the rich richer and the poor poorer, and we have lost our humanity, we've lost our individuality, our sense of self.
Dude, I'm getting emotional. Like, it just, again, I know that you didn't make all this stuff.
I
up.
hadn't even fucking found Jordan Peterson yet.
I wasn't even my full potential yet. But dude, I mean, everything you're saying, I mean, it's like, you could have told people that, it's pretty prophetic, man. I don't know. Let's keep going.
So this is the essence of the liberty movement. This is not something that we're here to reclaim, but to assert. This is about control, and not in the sense of physical control where we can look down and see our chains, but from an invisible prison that has been built up to cage our minds, to follow the rules of others instead of our own morals. This does not require legislation. This does not require an election, a debate, a fight, or a war. Instead, this requires something as simple as a realization and an understanding. We must understand that we are evolving at a mental level. We're evolving out of an old paradigm of control, of respecting arbitrary authority.
I fucking love that, dude. That's what sets you off. That's what sets the revolution apart from everybody else. It's the spiritual revolution. It's the love-evolution, man. Empathy, compassion, mixed in with all this. It's an essential ingredient. Your soul is a part of this, right?
That's how I feel, man. I mean, like I made mention of the Jordan Peterson thing, and it's kind of evident watching myself. I mean, I haven't seen this in a while, but it wasn't until the Peterson thing came along that I realized that this whole thing is the thing that gives me meaning. And I guess it emanates off me because I'm pretty animated in the fucking thing here. But but that's what it's always been to me. I just never would have worded it that way until I found Peterson.
I love it, man. Let's keep going.
away from confusing the rule of law with morals, away from accepting and even feeling a need for a system of inherent violence to govern us away from being violent. Just like in evolution, this is needed for our advancement as a species, for if we don't, we're faced with a growing, powerful police state, complete global financial meltdown, world war, and a wealth gap that's going to separate...
Oh, shit. Wealth gap, world war, income gap. Oh, man. It's like you're just seeing into the future, bro.
...the entire human species into the poor and the elite. But also, like in evolution, ultimately we will prevail. Ultimately, we will create a new world where our understanding of freedom is more pure than anything we have ever understood in our lives. Always remember that history is on our side. History is always on the side of the poor, starving, outnumbered, outgunned, who have the determination to break free. And that's you people. Yeah! Let's give one more chant, all right? And the Fed! And the Fed! And the Fed! And the Fed!
Fuck you.
And the Fed!
Dude, I love it. I just
Like I
love
said, I'm getting red in the cheeks.
Yeah, man, you know, Michael Heise, this is your life.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's right. I got some yearbook photos later. No, man, I just love how you tie into the human aspect of it. You have to, I think, to reach normal human beings, right? You can't just, like, that was an End the Fed rally, right? We all know what that means. But until you attach what that means to someone's humanity, they won't care about the economic aspect or whatever, right? You have to make them see that, like, they are inhibiting your evolution, your growth as a human. This system is.
That's something that I mean, I haven't talked about in a long time, but like, that's something that it was always the thing that kind of pissed me off the most, is that because the nature of the control, especially like over the money, it has to do with setting the incentives of society and then letting that kind of govern through the law of averages how people respond to those incentives. And it's a really hard thing to explain, but what, in my mind anyway, what the logical conclusion of that is that none of us are who we actually are. We're none of us are the people that we would be if we were free. That's been taken from us. You know what I mean? Like, and you can't really, I don't know how to explain it. Like,
lost
it's such a
potential,
pernicious
right?
theft. Yeah. Like it's such a pernicious and personal theft that I don't think most people, even in our movement, really think about. Like, if you didn't have to deal with all of this stuff, if the roadblocks in front of you were a little bit less, or if they were just arranged in a different way, I mean, you're always going to have your personal situations and your familial situations and you know, whatever that has nothing to do with the government and the money and all that stuff. But if we had an actual real world incentive structure that we were operating off of, we would be different people. Yes. You know, and that is something that has always, it's like a theft of our humanity in a way. And that is something that has always just very deeply pissed me off, that I'm essentially, there's a sense in which I'm owned, you know, or I'm viewed as owned or treated, you know what I mean? And
certainly curated.
Yeah. And basically the default mode has been set for all of us, and we just run along it. And that is the thing that really pisses me off.
Me too, man. That's why we do this damn thing, right? So I'm going to talk more about Ron Paul, because that's one of our favorite things to talk about, dude. And not that that's the entire focus of this, you know, my cult of personality or whatever these assholes want to say. But that was certainly a motivator for you, wasn't it? You and I have talked, and I got actually, when you first said it, we were talking on the phone once, and you said, dude, if we don't do something in this party, in the Libertarian Party, who do you think the GOP is going to champion Ron Paul's legacy? Like, that's just not going to happen. If it doesn't happen here, it's not going to happen. So, man, did that ever click with me. And, yeah, you mentioned, man, this is like a homecoming of sorts. He's coming to our event on Friday night, and it's just, I'm getting emotional right now. He actually gave a message to the Mises Caucus a little ways back, and we're going to take a quick peek at that, bro.
The Mises Caucus and the Libertarian Party has a job on their hands to make sure that Libertarian Party represents the views of libertarianism. They stand up for these because we have to have something offered, because the current system is going to collapse and everything is ideological. It's not partisan. It's not political parties. That's secondary. They're vehicles. But eventually, what we have to have replaces are different ideas, because we have pervasive ideas in Washington that endorse Keynesian economics, economic planning, intervention overseas, and all this mischief. We have to have an intellectual community that endorses individual liberty and property rights and voluntarism. Then I am convinced that we would have a much better world. Congratulations for being in the Mises caucus. Keep up the good work and keep everybody honest.
God, I love that guy so much. Let's talk about that just for a minute, dude. A couple things that jumped out. He said it. I love how he said it so nonchalantly. He's just like, this system's going to collapse. And when it does, like, that was just a given. It wasn't like, well, if we can just get the right man in the power, do whatever. It's like, no, this system's going to collapse, and when it does, you better be there. I think I've heard you talk about that too. Like, when this goes, and it will, there will need to be a light somewhere that can maybe help rebuild, right? That sounds like something that he is aware of. He's not looking at political parties. Libertarianism should infiltrate all the parties, as he has said, right? It sounds like he kind of understood just in that statement of kind of what you should use this vehicle for, because that's what it is. It's a vehicle, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, and this is what I think what separates us from some of our friends who are taking different strategies is that, again, I'm going to take it back to this community and culture thing. I understand the argument that, like, the GOP has a bigger platform and they have a higher floor to power, and theoretically, if we just get that past that primary, you have a real shot at being the next Rand Paul or the next Thomas Massey or whatever. But the GOP culturally, narratively, is never going to be home for us, ever. Right. We might be able to sneak one by here, there, and the other, but we're always going to be looking over our shoulders. We're always going to have to appease. We're always going to have to kiss the ring in order to play the game, which is, getting the power and using it for freedom within the confines of, what's possible in that framework. But it will never be home. And you can't build a culture in enemy territory. You know what I mean? Like, how do you do that? How do you build how do you build a community when you're behind enemy lines? You can't. You just can't do it. You're always going to have to look I said, look over your shoulder. So yeah, maybe the floor to power is a lot lower in the Libertarian Party, but we will have that community, and it can be home for us. And from that, we form these bonds, and that's the thing that drives this. Most of these people that are politically active, like, especially if you start looking at the local level, I mean, I know some areas are not like this, but it's just shoddy. People aren't passionate. People aren't in a community. It's just that it's a club, and we can supplant that. Now, the amount of effort per person in our community is going to have to pretty high, exceed the average. But I think we can achieve that because of faith, because of belief. We actually believe in the ideas, and that is what drives our actions. And we're bolstered by the community that also has that faith, and I use the word faith, I don't hear many other people in our movement use that faith in this, or that word in this context, but it really is. It's a faith. Can you see freedom? Like in real life, no, like it's not there. What do we see? We see crazy inflation. We see, a baby formula shortage. We see, the two new nations going into NATO, $40 billion to Ukraine, basically waving our dick at Russia. We see all this crazy shit. Where's the room for freedom? It takes faith to believe in freedom right now.
Yeah.
And we have that faith, and we need to live through that faith and live through the community of people that have that faith, our church, so to speak. It's a weird parallel, but I think it's accurate.
Yeah. And it certainly does help, man, taking it back to the community aspect, like you just said. But yeah, aside from I don't want to talk about, our naysayers too much because, we're trying to keep it positive. But you can do a lot, and we already have a lot of positive good, a lot of, I hear them talk about, hey, man, like, politics isn't it, lobbying's how you get shit done. It's like, what do you think Dave Smith is doing? That motherfucker's lobbying when he goes on Tim Pool's show. Or I just caught him on, who's the boomer guy from Fox News?
Which one?
All the stepdads, like, The Blaze.
Oh, Glenn Beck.
Yeah, Glenn Beck. Huge, right? He's not my cup of tea, but it was, this is lobbying, right? I mean,
he was on with him. He was on with Megyn Kelly recently. Right.
Delivering the gospel, right? I mean, this is an exciting time to be a libertarian. Yeah. I don't know where I was going with that. I don't want to, I don't want to talk about the haters tonight. I want to keep it all positive.
They don't have the faith. That's the difference between us. They don't have the faith. They don't actually believe in these ideas. They agree with the ideas. They don't believe in them. It's a huge difference. One has implications on how you live your life. Belief. If you believe in something, you are the logical conclusion of that is that you are compelled to act in such a way as if you believe it. That's different than just merely agreeing with something.
Yeah, I wish we could deliver that message to some of these people who just maybe went off the... I know, man. COVID did some fucked up shit to people's minds, scrambled them up, made them panic. Always in survival mode, Life is tough. I fucking get it. But yeah, back onto the positive, man. We're going to be in Reno this weekend. Ron Paul's going to be there. Tom Woods, Dave Smith, Scott Horton, Angela McCardle, Maj Toure. Who else? Who else is going to be there? Well, Van Halen. Who else?
Michael Rechtenwald will be there. Zuby will be there. I'm actually really proud of that one. I'm really happy to build that connection and show him our community because I think he might get excited when he sees and feels it. Jacob Hornberger will be there. It'll be good to see him.
Nice.
Who? God, you put me on the spot. I'm forgetting a bunch of people. You'll see when you're there. How about that?
Yeah, dude, I can't wait because, like I said, I'll be there with my Delaware squad. I can't wait to meet a bunch of friends from the internet. Obviously, celebrate with you. Dan Smots is going to be out there. That's really cool. I think he's actually staying at our Airbnb the first night there.
Nice.
Tyler Bratton said, "Is Judge Knapp coming?" Nah, man. Judge Knapp.
Unfortunately, not.
No. Tell him to join the party though. Quit fucking around.
I'll text him after and make the pitch.
No, not you. I meant Tyler. Tyler, you call him up. You've done enough harpooning, Mike. You take the day off.
Well, I'll tell you one thing I'm going to do that'll be a guilty pleasure. So if anybody over at Reason Magazine says this or sees this, they can relay the message. But back in 2018, the day after we lost, Reason Magazine published an article, and the headline was Libertarian Party rebuffs Mises Revolution. And in it was just an absolute piece of art of everything that is wrong with the party. All the quotes in this, and just dunking on us and all this stuff. So assuming we win the chair seat, within 5 minutes, I'm emailing Matt Welch and requesting an article titled "Mises Revolution Rebuffs Woke LP Establishment."
That's a great title. I'm going to send him an email 5 minutes after 2 and go, Matt Welch, here's a simple request. Why don't you go fuck yourself? How about that?
There might even be some people from Babylon B there, and I'm trying to give them some ideas on how to cover it, because people are like, well, how are they going to cover it? This is Babylon B. And I'm like, this is easy, guys. Come on. Libertarian Party actually becomes libertarian. Come on. That's funny.
Right? You're fucking hired. You should be anyways. That's great. Those guys are coming too. Again, man, yeah, this is just indicative of really what's going on.
Tim Pool's editor-in-chief will be there, so this will definitely be covered. I give updates to Lydia over there. They're interested in this whole situation, and I've made this spiel multiple times, so I'm sorry if I'm repeating for your audience, but the thing that makes me really excited that having Tim Pool's editor-in-chief there and all these different people, having Zuby there, the thing that makes me really excited is the insanely unprecedented situation that we as libertarians are in right now. And I don't mean like the inflation and all that. I'm talking about we now have reliable access to the biggest platforms in the world. This has never happened before. And if our ideas are marketable, we're going to find out in the next 3 to 5 years. Because we have never had the opportunity that we have had right now in terms of, Dave's like now it's through certain people, like Dave Smith and Maj and, these guys who Spike, who reliably have access to like these platforms. But the fact of the matter is, that Patrick Bet David interview with Dave and Spike and Larry, that dude has like 3.5 million subscribers on YouTube. Tim Pool, I'm pretty sure Tim Pool has a bigger audience than even Tucker Carlson. There's people who are our friends that go on Tucker Carlson. We're that close. Michael Rectenwald goes on Tucker Carlson. Oh, why am I forgetting his name? I'm such an asshole. The documentary guy. Rink.
Who?
I believe his name is Andy Rink. I should know him. He goes back to the Ron Paul days. This is terrible. But, he goes on Tucker Carlson. People over there, Natalie over at the Mises Institute knows everybody. She knows absolutely everybody. Half these connections that are being made, she started them behind the scenes and no one knows it. Greg Gutfeld, told Dave one time that if he runs, he'll be his Sean Hannity. Kennedy. I already said Tim Pool. He's been on Megyn Kelly. I think he was supposed to go on Michaela Peterson's podcast. Peterson is now correcting economists that come on his show with some shit like, well, are you even sure that you can apply mathematical modeling to economics? That's insane. That is Austrianism right there that he is now, you know what I mean? Like, and the level of platform that our ideas are about to have and the fertile soil by which they become relevant with the inflationary environment, the mix of those two things, never has this happened before. I'm convinced that we are in a level of situation of opportunity, Lex, of which we've never even seen. And if we play it right, yeah.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. I absolutely agree with you. And I'm so glad that you are, at the helm, along with Angela and Dave and, you guys who are making some of those moves. By the way, you and I are huge fans of The Matrix. I got to bring this up. So I used the Matrix meme of you, Dave, and Karen Ann for the thumbnail of this episode. Did you catch that?
No, I didn't.
But you have seen that meme that I made
Yes.
with you guys. Okay. Do you understand the significance of... Okay, it's not just a fucking meme, everybody. I'm trying to fucking say something with the meme, so listen up. But that's Karen Ann. You got the mind, the body, and the spirit, right? The three kind of... The triangle there, the chakra, right over.
Okay.
So you got Morpheus, kind of the brains of the operation, kind of the foreseer, right? You got Neo, who's the body, who goes out and does the action in the world, right? And then Karen Ann, who's the heart and the soul and the empathy, the love, maybe the passion. So that's what I was trying to get at, everybody. I think you guys, there's other people, but I am coming for justice for Karen Ann. I would have booked a flight just for that, to be perfectly honest with you. I can't wait to see that. But you, dude, you were the guy. You're like you're like the Don King to Dave Smith's Mike Tyson. You know what I mean? Like you had the idea for the whole event.
I think it's the other way around because I don't think we have our own platform now and our own reputation and stuff like that, but the only reason we got to the point that we are now is because of the people, because of the trust that was placed in us by people like Dave and Tom and Scott, where they felt the confidence to be able to throw in with us the way that they did, especially Dave.
So awesome. He really did go all in, dude.
Yeah. And that's something that I really appreciate, man, because I've seen, people in the past be platformed by these guys only to later down the line lose their fucking minds and kind of, I don't want to say betray it, but like, imagine if I went nuts, how that would reflect on these people. And I respect them enough to like realize that is now part of my responsibility is to stay right so that they can stay right. You know what I mean? Like, and that's something that means a lot to me, like they took a risk supporting me when nobody knew you know.
Yeah, I can tell. I know it means a lot to you, and it means a lot to me too. It's been great, Ron Paul revolutionizing this Libertarian Party. Quick break.
Paul was in New Hampshire today to plug for conservative support. In Massachusetts, he appealed to the liberal voter. As Marcus Jones found out, the libertarian agenda appeals to both attitudes.
When seeking office is done for personal aggrandizement, money, or power, it becomes useless if not harmful.
I happen to be a libertarian because of the compassionate nature of the result.
If we continue in this line, we will have a successful libertarian revolution in this country.
When political action is taken for the right reasons, it's easy to understand why compromise should be avoided. It's also become clear why progress is best achieved by working with coalitions, which bring people together without anyone sacrificing his principles.
We are the inheritors of the most brilliant, beautiful political philosophy ever devised by man.
We are Ron Paul revolutionizing the Libertarian Party.
Your job is to take care of the remnant.
Why is the Libertarian Party not synonymous with the anti-war cause in America? That's a shame.
And the party's been widely irrelevant forever.
We love liberty, and we're here because we hate injustice.
I'm going to make powerful alliances with anybody who's willing to.
The message to them needs to be, the system can't work.
The smartest thing your party can do is embrace the Mises type.
We're here to help.
Support the people that are doing the work.
We will ally with anyone who agrees what is going on needs to stop.
Who says we can't make coalitions on single issues?
End the lockdowns, end the wars, end the Fed, end the banker bailouts, end the corporate bailouts. If we can agree on all of those, that's important enough to put anything else aside.
We are here to save mankind.
My priority is advancing liberty because I live in a tyrannical lockdown state.
The Mises caucus and the Libertarian Party has a job on their hands.
God bless the Mises caucus.
The Mises caucus is just crushing it right now.
This is our year to do another Ron Paul revolution.
If the LP has a purpose, it's not to put people to sleep. It's to wake them up.
This country is in a revolution. They're sick and tired of what they're getting, and I happen to be lucky enough to be part of it.
Fight all of this government tyranny, compromise nothing, grow a fucking backbone, and fight for liberty. That's our message.
I'm glad to see the revolution is continuing.
Woo, son! Oh, your boy's fired up. Dan Smots, I got your IP, bro. Come get it. I'll tell you what, that shit gets me every time.
I think you're going to be getting got at the event.
Oh man, that guy, I'll tell you what, he knows how to draw the emotions out of me. And yeah, this shirt made it in that commercial. God bless him, man. I'll tell you what, we are lucky, and when I say we, I mean the whole liberty movement is lucky that guy is a libertarian and fucking believes it. Believes it like man. You believe it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
A real fucking soldier. He'll be there. He'll be taking all kinds of footage and yeah, maybe dropping some new shit. That's really exciting. Cool, man. I know that you are totally busy. You got a lot going on in the next couple days, so I'm not going to keep you. What do you want to say to the crowd before we get on out of here, man? Any last words before Reno?
Well, I appreciate all of the support, and I appreciate the trust that's been put into the caucus and into me. You know, this community has been incredible to me. You know, somebody made the comment earlier of when you were playing the video of me on the truck. You know, he was a skinny guy. I always had the gut though, but he was a skinny guy with a dream, and now he's living the dream. And you know, the only reason I'm able to do that is because of our supporters. You know, that's why I'm doing this full time. It's the only way it's even possible. You know, so long as that trust in me is given to me, then I will fight with everything that I've got, and I love doing it. So, you know, thank you for that. And, you know, thank you for the changes that you're doing with us in the Libertarian Party, because, you know, I said it last night when we did a live stream, is that we're about to go through, it certainly looks and feels like we're about to, as a country, go through some darkness. You know, the financial situation is coming apart at the seams. You know, who knows how fast it's gonna go. And you're talking $8 trillion or $12 trillion, whatever it was, printed in 4 years. and now you're seeing your prices go up 10, 20%. You know, it might be doubled within 5 years and then doubled again after that in 3 years. Like it starts to hit a point where it goes exponential. And who knows when that's going to be. So we've got some, and these people believe that war might save the economy. You know, that's what we're always told is, going to World War II, save the economy somehow. So yeah, we might go through some darkness. And it's in the darkness when the light of liberty is needed the most. And, through our community, through our faith, we can be that light. We just have to believe it, and we have to do it. And I think the party, against everybody's expectations, is going to be the framework for that community that becomes that beacon. And no one else is going to do it but us. We're the only people who understand money. We're the only people that understand these concepts. So it's a grave responsibility, and it's long term. This is just, taking over the LP is just the end of phase one. I've got kind of a metaphor that I've always used. This is more of a rant than a comment. Sorry, but like I've got a metaphor that I use where it's like, if your city is under siege, right, and you're armed with a pellet gun, and you're out scouting, and gaining intel, and in your scouting you come across an armory, and it might take you 5 hours to crack into that armory. Now that's 5 hours that you're not scouting. That's 5 hours that you're not trying to repel the siege, but ultimately you're repelling the siege with a pellet gun. And if you crack into that armory, you're going to actually get armed and be able to try to mount a defense. That's what we're doing. So when people say, oh man, I hate the infighting, I hate all this stuff, we're not infighting. We are taking the asset so that it could actually be used in a way in the long term to be this light in what is looking like it's going to be a darkness. And that is gravely important. That's not infighting. That's not oh man, they're just a power struggle. No, this is serious stuff. Like, because it's going to get dark, and we can be the people that do that. And we have to be the people that do that.
Yeah. Only the short-sighted and blue-pilled would look at this like that. Honestly. You're right, man. We better buckle up, and we better stick together, and we better, keep learning. Oh, man. Mike, I really do appreciate you, man. Appreciate your time tonight, and I'm so grateful that you are still doing this with such passion, man. How old were you 10 years ago?
23.
Yeah, dude, you've done a lot in a short time, man, and sky's the limit. But we're all better off with you, not just you, but you at the helm of this. This was your idea. Michael Heise, chair for life. That's right. Where's your office? Do you get one next to Angela's? Who? How's that work? Steve Bannon, you, her?
I'm still waiting to see if I'll even be welcome in the headquarters.
Yeah, I want corner office for my boy Michael Heise, leader for life. That's my squad. But dude, no, I'm obviously kidding. I can't wait to party with you, man. Do some karaoke, see the greats.
Man.
Let's celebrate together. We earned it, and this is a time of commencement. And we'll put phase one to bed, on to phase two. I'm with you, dude.
Hell yeah, man. Let's do it.
Thank you, bro. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it. Episode 23 is in the bank. The great, the one, the only Michael Heise, man. That guy is just the best. And I do appreciate him. I appreciate you guys too. Going to Reno, maybe we'll do some live stuff. Look out for that. And if not, I'll be back next week with my dude Dan, and we'll talk all about it. All right, guys. See you then. Peace.
Now that the smoke's gone,